In this video, we're going to discuss how to deal with the points in Revit. For instance, you have a project point and you also have a survey point. Those points tie into the levels and tie into the site and all that, and how we can use those as tools. So first thing we'll do is, in whatever plan you're in, it doesn't matter. We need to actually see where the points are. So you can use the little light bulb here, and you'll see there's this funny little graphic in the center of the screen to turn it on and off. But sometimes it's hard to grab. So for instance, if I try to grab it, you'll see it's kind of hard for me to pick. So I'm actually going to use a different way to go about it. And it also makes it easy for you guys to remember in the future. I'm going to go to Visibility Graphics. You can also type VG for this, but I'll just pick the button. And it opens up, and you'll see we have all of our categories. As I scroll down toward the bottom, you'll notice we have one called Site. Now the whole site happens to be turned off. If I turn it on, it may or may not turn on the subcategory. So I'm going to take a look. You'll notice in here I have a project-based point, and then I have a survey point. Now I'm going to turn on just project point right now, and I hit OK. You notice that the project point is that little circle. This is the one that you're going to relate to your building, and this is the one that the levels tie into by default. Okay. Now this little guy here, if I want to see where it is or see more about it, there it is. Now it's going to grow or get smaller as I move about. Now with this, one of the golden rules of Revit is never move your building, because so many things associated with it that if you move the building, everything's going to blow up. What we're going to do is we're actually going to move the 0, 0. We're going to move the 0, 0 to the actual corner of the building. Now, what is this point doing, and why is it here? Now, this is again, as I mentioned, the project point. Now, I'm going to go back to VV or Visibility Graphics. I'm going to turn on the other one, which is the actual site or a survey point. So we're going to back up to Site, expand this out, survey point, hit OK on that. Now you'll see the other one right on top of it. Now, what we're going to do is, I'm going to go up top and use under the Annotation tab. Maybe I'll go to a different view. Let me go to Dimensioned, just so it's easier to see. Not much on here, VV, and I'll turn those 2 points on again. Alright, so again, they're on the site. We hit the plus, and we turn project point and survey point on. So you have 2 different points there. They're laying on top of each other currently. Now what I'm going to do is go up top on the Annotate, and I'm going to put in a spot coordinate. Now to pick a spot coordinate, and I come over here, and I'll say I pick on the corner of that wall somewhere, and I drag up and drag over. You'll see it puts in these coordinates. Now you'll notice it says it's 1 foot east and 6 foot north from that particular point. Now we'll come back to that in a moment. Now if I hover over these points, you'll see there's 2 of them here. Now I'm actually going to try to pick on the circle one, and this is my project point. Okay, it says project point. Now here's the little kicker. On one of these you uncheck the paperclip, and the other one you don't. Now I'm going to uncheck the paperclip, and I'm going to grab this and move it over here. Now I want you to notice I moved that point right away from the site point, so they're in separate places now. But notice that number didn't update. Like, oh man, Well, let's take a look what's actually happening. Again, project point, survey point. If I grab this graphic, which is a spot coordinate, and I hit Edit Type, you'll notice that when I scroll down toward the bottom, what you're going to see is it says coordinate origin, right? What coordinate system is it using? The survey point. Oh, okay. So let's duplicate this. I'm going to call it project point, or you could call it building. Okay. I hit OK on that. Now I'm going to say my new one. I did a little duplicate trick, right? I'm going to say my new one. I want that to be a project point, and I want it to use the actual project-based point. Now when I hit OK, watch what happens to that number. See, it changed. Okay, so now that one happens to be using this coordinate system, and if I grab it and I say now use horizontal, you see it uses this system. So I may actually go here and get even fancier. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this, instead of horizontal, site point. Okay, so that's referenced in the site point. So the coordinates and levels and a handful of other things will reference either the survey point or the project point. So we hit OK on that. Now the key here is you'll notice how I unlocked it. Okay, now being that I unlocked it, I'm going to get kind of fancy here. I'm going to grab this element. See, it's unlocked. It's got that unpaper clip there. Now if it's on, watch what happens. If I grab it and I drag it and I let it go, watch what happens. The whole building, see how the whole thing kind of moved? And you got this weird thing going on here, like whoa. So I'm going to hit undo on that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I again grab the point, unpaperclip it. Now I'm going to use the move command, so I'm accurate. I'm going to roll over that, it picks up on the point, and I'm going to go to the corner of the building. Okay, so it pops it right on that corner, and I can check. Now at this point, I'm going to lock it. Now you'll notice these numbers, like what is that all about? That's in reference to the actual site, okay? But let's check it out now. So we got the corner of the building. Now we have two spot coordinates. I pick spot coordinate. Now I'm going to use my project point. And if I hover over here and I hit it, notice it's at 0, 0. So now anywhere I go, notice as I'm tracking across and I want to know what, say, so where is that corner? And I, let's say, pick it. That's at that location. And I can continue around my building if you wanted to know where these things were as we move over. Okay, so that point is pulling that corner point there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause and let you guys give that a shot. Okay, so we moved the point, and I even checked it. I brought it in, and as I zoom in on this little area here, you'll notice that if I'm using the project coordinates, that point is at a, if I pick on it, you'll see it's 0. It's just, well, it says 0, 0. Now if I pick that point, which I'm trying to grab, sometimes it's hard to grab, so I tab, tab, tab to pick it there. And again, doesn't want, there we go. Whoop, just had it for a second ago, I think. Okay, so I pick it. You'll notice that it says in relationship to the site, here it is, -45, -65, in relation to site. Now here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to pin this one back so it's happy now. Now I'm going to go up to the site. Now when I click on the site, you do not unpin it. See that note? See it's 0, 0. So I'm going to take my 0, 0 and I'm now going to click it. I'm going to move it from here to here. Let's put it out in the yard, right? Now, see, that is true 0, 0 for my project. For the, let's say for the survey point, I want that to be 0. Now, at this point, if I now pick this point here, you'll notice that one is positive 59, 95. So this is a relationship between the two. But this is going to be, in essence, the real zeros. So that's where my 0 is. Let's say the site, a survey point, and then this is where my project goes. Now we can change the numbers in here, and you can move it around by pinning it and unpinning it. You could put in different numbers, like whatever you need to be if there's survey points, and then that when you unpin it, put the numbers in, pin it, and then move it where it needs to be. Okay, so we can play with those buttons there. So let's go ahead and drag that one out into the yard. And you can just either just click hold drag or click move it out in the yard. Now you'll notice that your survey points, when you come in here, if I'm to go put in annotation spot coordinate and I want to say project, I'll say site point, and if I pick on that same point there and I drag up, you'll notice that's giving me my site information. Now one other thing you may notice too is, hey, what's all this data? I mean, it's just, I don't have anything separating these two. If you hit edit type, you'll notice there's lots of stuff in here as you go down, including elevation indicator, top values, northwest. So you can put all this stuff in as you want. Elevation indicator, I'm going to put, let's say, this is going to be our survey point. Okay, so we hit OK on that, and well, I thought it'd pop up in here. But you can come in and edit it and actually somewhere in here put in what it actually is. So let's see here. Prefix, indicator as prefix. Where's the indicator? Okay, I don't know why I didn't put it in there, but okay. I'll grab it and go to top value prefix, survey, apply, okay. Alright, so you can put some prefixes and adjust them, so you may actually make your own to make them look the way you want. So what we've done now is we've set the site point, and we've also set the project point just in plan view. Now it's time to do it in elevation. Okay, so now we're going to, just for ease here, I'm going to go to my south elevation, and that way we're looking in kind of the same orientation here. So I'm going to go on down and hit south elevation. When you fire up south elevation, you may not see the points because in most views they're turned off. So I'm going to go to my visibility graphics, and if you'd like to do that too, go to south elevation, visibility graphics, and we're going to turn on those 2 points again. Now you'll notice that everything's grayed out. I'm going to throw this out to you guys. Do you know why it's grayed out and how we can fix it? Okay, the reason I bring this up is this is going to happen to you, whether you're working with Tyler or whomever, and you're going to go, wait, how come I can't turn the layers on and off? Oh man, I'm aggravated. Hit cancel out of this. This view has view template. Yes, Jim's cool presentation. So I'm gonna turn that off. None. And now, if I type in VG or pick on visibility graphics, I can edit it. I just wanted to bring that up because that's one of the things that people get frustrated. They don't remember what that setting was. So I just want to bang on that a little bit. Again, going on down. Now, one of the things that's available in 2013 and above is the ability to filter the list here. You see it says show all. You'll see I'm seeing so much stuff in here. I'm like, man, I don't want to see all that stuff. I can say, show me the architectural items, but not structure, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Now, if you want to tease your buddy, leave plumbing on and turn off architecture. Okay. So, well, where's my windows? Oh, man. Okay. So you look through the space there. I'm going to put architecture on, and I'll turn off piping. Go on down to site, and we'll do what we just did a moment ago. Expand the site, hit the little button here, project point, survey point, hit OK, and now you'll see them out in the field. Hopefully, I'm not seeing another one. Now here's another problem you may run into. In this scenario though, it happens to be if I turn on my crop region, you'll notice my crop region is pretty tight here. So chances are I turn off my crop and it should pop up out in the field somewhere. Well, okay. Don't crop. Alrighty. I'm not sure why she's not showing up. Maybe I didn't turn it on. I'm going to try to pull this down. Alright, there. So, hidden line. And let me go back to VV. Alright, let's try the little light bulb first. Come on. Ah, dang. Okay. It may be behind my view range this time. In this elevation, that can be another thing that sometimes happens. So I'll go back to my plan view. And these are just some little bumps along the way. This time I can't see my elevation tags. Great. Okay, but there's that point, and I'm going to take that point, I'm going to drag it a little bit this way. There we go. And hopefully it'll be picked up by that view now. Again, we could just adjust the view range. We'll go back to my south elevation, and hopefully it should pop up. There it is. Okay. So you'll notice that both at pretty much 0 now. We assume they're at 0, but we can't see the levels. So I'm going to go back to VG again, and I'm going to turn my levels on. Good rule of thumb is it a physical item? No, so it's under annotation, or the pickup truck rule. Turn my levels back on, hit OK. Now, some of the levels may show up, some may not. Another visibility issue is maybe if I'm turned off per view. So I'm going to hit the little reveal hidden elements. I've got one right here. I'm going to click on it. Turn that on, and I'll also say unhide in view element. Go back to the light bulb. So what I have in this view is I'll have my first floor, and you'll see it's at 0, 0. And you'll see my corner point is dead on, so that's where it's pulling the 0 from. And then way out here I have my site. Now remember the site, we don't uncheck it. So what I'd like you to do is let's take the site. Let's say it's about 12 feet down below our first floor. So I'm going to grab this element here. And again, I'm not going to unpin it. I'm just going to move it. Move. Pick a base point. I'll drag the direction I want to go. And maybe I'll put it at 12'3", just so it's something different, right? So now my survey point is 12'3" down, and I come up here and I have my project point, which is 0. So we just moved it down. Now here's when we start cooking with gas. Let me pause first to make sure everybody can catch up on that. So I moved this point down 12'3" inches. Now let's say we get a phone call from I get a phone call from Crystal. Crystal says, you know, I need the real. And one of the reasons it may have been slowing down, by the way, is if the shadows were on. Shadows slow things down a bunch. Okay, so no worries there. You'll notice that it says first floor 0, 0, curtain wall 10 feet, and then certain things there. Now, being that we move the survey point down to its actual elevation in relationship to the floor, if I grab that level, right? Now here's where it gets interesting. See the level head? Edit type. What it's currently pulling is project base point. You say, hey, elevation, just temporarily use the survey point. I hit OK, and every elevation throughout the whole project now changes to the actual elevation. So if I had a print a set out for, let's say, for FEMA, whomever, somebody needed it, there it is. So that's the true elevation of that floor. And then you say, okay, that's nice, but I want to go back to my original stuff. So I'll grab that level and I say, Mr. Level, instead of using the survey point, go back to using my project base point. And what it does, it goes back to the project base point that was set for the project. And now it's back to where it needs to be. So once you have the site actually where it is, I may be repeating this, but I'm not sure. I've moved the survey point where it's supposed to be, and that's set to 0, 0. So now, if I come over here, and let's say there's my point, right? And there's my survey point. I'm going to go to my levels. Any level will do. Edit type and tell it to pull from the survey point. That's what it's going to base off of. And that's so it sets that number up. You'll see it says 13.6, even though the building point is at 0. Now, another thing people ask about is, what if I want to put this at 100? Okay, you're thinking, man, I've been working on a project maybe for months now, and someone says, you know what, we'd like this to be 100 and not 0. Well, first of all, I'll do is I'll grab this. I'm going to set my levels back to my project. So that's, a lot of times this is how we'll run it. If we need to change the numbers for an instance, we can. All right, so there it is. Now, what I'm going to do is I take this object, I highlight it. I'm going to unpin it. I'm going to move it down 100. So I'm going to use the old move command, pick a base point, drag the direction I want to go. I'm typing 100 feet, enter. Now I didn't move the building, I moved the point. Notice my project point went down 100. Notice what my first floor is, 100, 110. And now I have that relationship instead of what was there before. At one point, again, we need the real points for, let's say, some set. I can quickly change it back to what I need it to be. Now, along with this, we have the levels, but you may say, well, it's nice, but can I leave these and use other points too? Yeah, we have spot elevations now. With spot elevations, works the same way. Spot elevation, crosshair project. So notice if I pick the bottom of that window, it says that is 102, based on the project, okay? Now, if I want to pick, let's say, a different point, drop this down, there are no others. Edit type, duplicate, I'm going to say crosshair, that's a little graphic it's using. I'll say survey. Hit OK on that. What do I want to use? As I scroll toward the bottom, you notice it says, what are we pulling? We're pulling from the project base point. Now I'm going to say pull this one from the survey. I hit OK. So now if I come in here and put a point, you'll notice that in reality, that point is 13 feet off the ground. Now, with this one, I may want to put a prefix in front of it. So I'll scroll down. And let's try that again. I grab it, edit type, and down here we'll see if we can get the prefix in there, okay? Top indicator. I'll see if somebody's, I don't remember which one it was to type in. I'm just going to type some stuff in here. This is site. Hit OK on that. Yep. Now, I can't get it. I did it early this morning. Now I can't get the dang thing to work. So I'm just go to the indicator. I'll type in site, S-I-T. Okay. Elevation indicator. Let's see if that does it. Okay, yeah, see it says site now. So we go ahead and put that in there. And then let's say I want this one to say building. Well, again, this is two different types. We can edit it. And again, if we want to put something down here, this is if my typing didn't suck so bad. So we can put indicators in front of it. So we have those two different points. So this is pulling from our surveyor site, and this is pulling from the building coordinates. So you can set those up so you have them. Interesting little tidbit, actually is actually a Darren trick. If you come in here and put a detail line, interestingly enough, whatever the detail line is, it really doesn't matter, but you can actually put a spot elevation on it. You touch it and see it knows where it is. So that's a neat little trick if you just want to put a line somewhere. It'll actually note where it is in the Z coordinate. So some fun stuff. That's actually a good question. I tried to get it to work this morning and I couldn't, but I do know it works on things like ductwork. It works on pipe. because pipe, you have a top and a bottom and lots of variations on the pipe. So when you click on a pipe, it'll say the top of the pipe and the bottom of the pipe. As far as architectural elements, I haven't been able to get it to work on those elements. Hmm. Yeah, and I even tried it with a piece of steel. Now, with these little elements, if you wanted to, let's say you're in a warehouse and you want to know if you have certain clearances, if you had a piece of steel in here, again, you could say in relationship to the first floor or relationship to the site, how high is that canopy or how high is that element? So these little tools can come in real handy depending on what you're measuring off of. So if I go back to, let's say, plan view, let's say first floor here, let's see here, reference, and I came in here and I put something in. Whoop. So architecture, and let's say I put in a, I don't know, I was thinking of putting in something, but I don't know if we actually have any steel in here. Hit beam, structural framing, let's say steel, bar joist, okay, pick a size, hit OK. Alright, now it's going to come and put it in. Let's go ahead and pick, it's loading it. Once it's loaded, I need to put it in where I want to put it. I say let's put it on a second floor, and I just pick a point and drag it out into space. Alright, now it may not see it because of where it's being drawn, and that's fine. I'm going to go back to the previous view, and you'll see there it is sitting up top, right? So if I grab this element and I need to move it up or down or adjust it, let's say start level, I'm putting -2 on there. Okay, so now it's kind of jacked up. Well, it's going to be in a moment. Alright, but I need to know exactly where this point is. Okay, we can use these little tools, annotate, spot elevation, and I can roll over and touch places, as you can see, and it'll tell me exactly where that information is. So right along here, and that's measuring off of the site, off of the survey, not necessarily off of there. So nice little tool there if you need it to do those little points. So you don't have to use the levels, you can use those spot coordinates. The last one is spot slope. You can pick on an element. It actually puts the slope in for you. It'll also do it in plan view. If I go back to my, let's say, second floor plan, I may see a piece of steel out there, I may not. That's probably turned off. But I can click on it, it'll also do it in this view. Let's see. I don't see it. Let's go to first floor. Oh, well, no big deal there. But you can also do it in those views also. So that is how you deal with coordinates in Revit. As you can see, we can deal with them in plan view for marking coordinates. We can also do them in elevation for marking different elevation parts there. We have the ability to use 2 different ones depending on what we want by just either picking the graphic and telling it what coordinate system to use here, and then it'll fire it up. So there you go. That's how to use and adjust your points in Revit.